All right, we're recording. I do believe this is something like episode 26 of Roaming Free Inside the Cage, William Schafer. And we are going to be starting today on page 42, where we left off. We are in the middle of chapter 3, Enneatype as Protector of the Ego. And tonight we're going to be talking about points of avoidance. Um, Before we dive in, anything from last week, anything that was left undeveloped to your taste, undercooked? Anything that you've been thinking about? Any comments?
Dave, do you
Don't.
want me to bring up that email or just let it go by?
The email?
Yeah,
Oh, do you want to bring it up?
not necessary.
Okay. I can't remember the point that you made on your email at this point.
Well, that's good. Okay, then we can move ahead.
Well, he had sent me an email and we talked about it back and forth a bit. But
Mm.
if you remember what it is, and if it seems salient, if it seems relevant, if it seems like you just got to get it off your chest, then you call out, okay, buddy? All right. So, pop quiz. What is a passion? Who can tell me what a passion is, according to William
Um,
Schafer?
a drive, something we're attracted to.
Okay.
Are you asking for a direct quote from the book?
Well, yeah, it could be that way, but she's on the right track. There's a
Is
there's
it
a
kind of like
there's a
driving,
there's a piece missing, but
is it
what,
driving
Judy?
force gets in our way?
Gets in our way. I suppose that's
The
a way of putting it.
distillation of a
Yeah.
certain form of energy.
Oh, just go back a couple of sentences.
I still missed it.
You're
An
so close.
unconscious emotional pattern that runs you when you're not awake to it?
Ooh, that's good. I like that. You're kind of paraphrasing what he said. Yeah.
Mm.
Was that your own words or were you,
No,
did you chat GPT?
I did.
You are so bad. God,
Well,
AI girl.
Cheater.
But I like it.
But she's right. I think he puts it more pithily than chat GPT
Piffly.
just did.
Piffly.
Is
Pithily,
that a word?
pithily. And I'm not
Piffly.
lisping, it's pithily.
Pithily.
Okay.
Okay.
So what Schaefer says that
Emotional energy that drives my type.
there it is, an emotional energy that drives type. So that's the way he puts it. But that's what Danielle said, and Lori was going, and Judy was
yeah.
going, Lori, whoever was going in the right direction as well. So emotional energy that drives type. Now, what's important to remember about this emotional energy is that it's programmed into your unconscious. Okay, so we're going to learn this stuff, at our earliest age, and growing on up, it's going to be reinforced for us. And then it distills down, as Lori was reading, you know, into our type. So it's an emotional energy that drives type. Now, type, what did he say type was? You remember?
Um, ooh, something about ego. Um,
So on 39, a collection of habits that more or less guarantee you'll not consciously experience your particular passion.
Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly what I was looking for.
I love that.
So
Yep.
he defines passion, right, as the emotional energy that drives type. Then he defines type as a collection of habits that more or less guarantees that you won't experience your passion. And so the the type is these habits, this way of dealing with life and triggers and situations that masks or deflects the passion. And that's the sensation, the feeling, or the state of mind that you will automatically avoid. So there's this closed loop thing going on. Early in life, we have this emotional energy that's driving our type. Our type is a collection of habits that guarantee that we won't experience the passion that is actually driving it. It will mask it or deflect it. And so that sensation, that feeling, that state of mind is what we are specifically and automatically avoiding. And
But
so
we have
it
no
just
idea
goes
how it
round and
feels.
round and round. Yeah, Bill?
You have no idea how it feels because you've avoided it your entire life.
Yeah, that's why it's automatic. We're automatically avoiding them through the activity of the type,
Well, that's
but
all
the
fine.
energy is driving it.
But until you feel it, you can't do anything about it.
That's the point. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
All of this is all about. This is what contemplation is about. This is what spiritual formation is about, is to become
This,
aware
it's a
of
feeling.
what is down in the unconscious that is driving us
It's an
so that we
emotional
can
response,
change it.
though.
I'm sorry, Bill?
It's an emotional response. And
Yeah.
if you've never experienced the emotion,
Well, if you experience the emotion, you're just not attributing it
yeah,
to
you
what
just think
it
it's normal.
actually
You don't
is.
distinguish from any other thing, right?
Well, you know when you're angry.
We hope. I didn't
Yeah.
for a long time.
I mean, all of these 9 passions, we feel them. Absolutely, we feel them. But we don't understand the emotional drive or the energy that's driving them, driving the type that then avoids the actual cognizance of the passion itself. And so he says that then, let's see if I can find this. Uh, okay, on page 40, perceiving type in action, the first line, all of this suggests that the first steps of self-transformation as you begin working with the Enneagram will be difficult. They require that you search for a sensation, feeling, and state of mind that you automatically avoid. This is totally counterintuitive. Why go looking for something that feels bad when you've already learned to escape awareness of its presence? This seems a recipe for insanity, not growth, but that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's exactly what spiritual formation is really all about. This is exactly what Jesus' teaching is about, right? You got to let go, you got to relinquish, you got to peel the onion, is what Jesus is telling us. Rather than going out and trying to acquire something else to bring in to make yourself whole, we got to peel the onion down and get down to ground zero. It's counterintuitive. It's not the way we think of self-development.
Well, yeah, because you can't think an emotion. You can only feel one.
Well, we're not talking about thinking, are we? We're talking about relinquishment in action. We're talking about working the opposite of the way that we would work to acquire any kind of intellectual knowledge. We're talking about letting that go. So in this case, he's talking about we're actually going to search out. We're going to become more and more aware of, in real time, those feelings, that state of mind that we are most avoiding. So it's going to be a practice of becoming more aware of. It's going to be like a CBT kind of thing, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy, where we're going to be looking at the thought and behavior patterns that are creating the problems in our lives, and then actively becoming aware of them as they're unfolding in real time so that we can choose something different. So it's not thinking our way through, it's acting our way through. Still not clicking, not making sense?
I
Well, I
like this
kind of
line.
detached when you said CBT.
I'm sorry, Danielle?
I said I kind of dissociated when you said CBT because I'm so done with it.
Oh,
How about DBT, Danielle? Is that any better? Okay. Yeah, we like DBT, you know.
I
Yeah.
like the right before, right above on page 40, right above the perceiving type in action that you just read. It says that some dude whose name I can't pronounce said that he reintroduced the Enneagram as a type of a form of falling asleep. Not I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Called type, a form of falling asleep.
Mm-hmm. That's Gurdjieff, I
Thank you.
think.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, most of us, and we talked about this, most of us sleepwalk through life anyway, because we're not really aware of what's going on. It's like being in a dream and not realizing it's a dream, and then you're just doomed to act out the dream, whatever takes place. But if you can wake up inside the dream and have it lucid, now you can make changes. And so what we're trying to do is wake up inside waking life to what's really going on, to the point that we can actively make different changes and not just be slaves to the patterns that are pre-programmed in us, those emotional energies that are driving us. We want to understand how they work, what they feel like, so that we can make different choices. But until we become aware in real time, that can't happen. And I don't know about you, but I've had the sensation for years that as I started to become aware, I became aware of things in my past. I could think back, you know, oh man, how could I have been such an idiot in my 20s, and then my 30s. And then it was like last week, and then I'm walking away from a conversation and there I did it again. And then there was that moment where suddenly I realized as words were coming out of my mouth, it's like, okay, I'm doing it again. And then your awareness slowly catches up to you in real time. And then there's that point where you can actually, oh, this is where I always do X. You can actually see it coming. And so the awareness has to catch up to you. And it seems to do that, starting retroactively and then working forward.
Mm.
At least that's been my experience. But that's the whole point. We got to get to the place where all this is happening in real time. So now he's going to take it to the next step where we actually have points of avoidance. All right, so starting there on page 42, we have these parts of us that we automatically avoid. Our type is what is the protector of the ego in the sense of it helps us to avoid these things. But each type has what is called a point of avoidance. A point of avoidance is the activity or behavior the type never engages in, at least not willingly. Type 1's point of avoidance is the frank and open expression of anger. Although angry inside, ones don't like to admit it. It makes them feel that there is something terribly wrong with them. I feel angry is automatically transformed into you are wrong. That way, the internal experience of anger can be hidden and its open expression avoided. Twos avoid awareness and expression of personal neediness. Since their self-worth resides in doing for others, they feel deeply ashamed when they need to ask others to do something for them. When a two feels needy, the habitual reaction is to begin taking care of someone else. And so that translates into pride as the passion, right? Just as anger was for number one. But look at the way that he describes what's going on inside the two. Three's point of avoidance is failure. Failure makes them feel hollow and deeply unworthy. They automatically transform little failures into partial successes, telling themselves that they almost succeeded and that now they know what to do to achieve success the next time. And their passion is vainglory. Fours avoid ordinariness, which causes them to experience an immense sense of shame. They seek emotional highs and lows, great ecstasy or great suffering, and avoid being in between where all of the ordinary folks hang out. And that's envy is their passion. Fives avoid open-ended commitments of their time, space, and emotional energies because they are afraid that they will suddenly find themselves empty. They husband their emotional and physical resources for themselves and fill their minds with knowledge instead. And the passion there is avarice. Sixes avoid spontaneity. Plunging into unrehearsed action terrifies us. He's saying us because he's a six. So we rarely take the plunge. We prefer to analyze, to think, and to live in our imaginations instead. And fear is the passion there for sixes. Sevens hate all limitations, whether the limitations come from others' demands or from the perceived limitations of boredom and routine. To be limited feels excruciating, and sevens would rather die than live that way. Gluttony is their passion. Eights recoil from any circumstance that makes them feel small or vulnerable. Weakness feels so shameful to them that they automatically assume the power role in any potential conflict. And that's lust for them. Finally, nines avoid the discomfort of conflict because taking a personal stand might bring about separation, leaving them to feel isolated and alone. We will have more to say about these points of avoidance in later chapters when we take up each type individually. For now, it is enough to give an initial description. For your convenience, I have summarized the passions and points of avoidance for each type in table 1. So there we got table 1. So you got the type 1 through 9, you got the passions, that we talked about, and now we have points of avoidance. So for a 1 whose passion is anger, open anger is what they're going to avoid at all costs. 2, pride, personal need is what they'll be avoiding. 3, vainglory, failure is the point of avoidance. 4, envy, ordinary living. 5, avarice, emptiness. 6, fear is the passion. Spontaneity will be the point of avoidance. 7, gluttony, pain will be the point of avoidance. And then 8, for lust or excess, vulnerability is the point of avoidance. And 9, sloth, conflict is the avoidance. Questions about points of avoidance? Is it clear what he's trying to say?
I have a question. I have a question.
Sure.
On number 4, I don't understand why ordinariness would cause them to feel where is it on here?
Sense of shame.
Yeah, a sense of shame. Why? Being ordinary?
I'm sorry, what was it?
It's right.
Oh, okay.
Fours.
Fours avoid ordinariness, which causes them to experience an immense sense of shame. They seek emotional highs and lows, great ecstasy or great suffering, and avoid being in between where all the ordinary folks hang out. So 4s are the romantics, right?
Whatever. I didn't see that in there.
Individualist, I think they call them.
The individualist.
Mhm.
I'm looking up.
They want to be special.
If you look on page 4,
Yeah.
They want to be
you've got the
unique.
types. So 4s, romantics. These are emotionally intense, creative people who seek deep connection with others. However, their inner feelings of being alone and misunderstood can be over-dramatized in ways that end up pushing others away. So yeah, we don't have these same tags over here because we're talking now about passions. But if you're a romantic, if you're always watching the Hallmark Channel, then, you know, the idea of just living the day-to-day mundane details is going to be excruciating, very hard to do because you're always looking for that
Okay.
romantic spark, right? Is sort of the idea here. So ordinary living is going to be something that you're going to want to avoid if you're romantic and looking at life that way. And envy will be the passion because you're always looking around and seeing other people, you know, their Facebook page looks more interesting than your life.
Mm.
Of course,
Okay.
we all face that, don't we? I don't know. Was that helping at all, Gail?
Yeah, in the person I'm thinking of, it doesn't seem like it fits. But yeah,
Yeah, not all of these are going to fit like a glove. We've established that.
yeah.
But if you know your type or think you know your type, then is that starting to ring true to you? Is that point of avoidance something that you think maybe might be true? Let me use myself as an example, shall we? So I'm sort of gravitating around the 5. I think probably a 5 fits the best, although I've been around the block with a bunch of other types as well. And so with the 5, take a look at 5. 5s avoid open-ended commitments of their time, space, and emotional energies because they're afraid they will suddenly find themselves empty. They husband their emotional and physical resources for themselves and fill their minds with knowledge instead. I can certainly say that I spent a lot of time filling my mind with knowledge, but I didn't see myself as avoiding commitments of my time, especially as a pastor. I see myself pouring time out all the time to people, and so I was thinking, okay, well maybe this bit doesn't apply to me, or maybe through all my training and everything I've had to do to overcome my introvertism and maybe some of the Asperger's that I see myself as being a part of. Maybe I've worked through that, so I'm not fearing this as much in terms of becoming empty if I pour out too much. And Marion and I were talking earlier this afternoon. She's a 2. And so as she looked at her 2, what it was, that she doesn't like to ask for help because that would take away, she'll replace that with starting to help other people. And she said that really resonated with her. And I said, yeah, the 5 doesn't really resonate with me. And she came back and said, you guard your time all the time, And I said, oh, really? And she said, well, sure. And as she was telling me how she saw me, guarding my time, if she asked me to do something, or sometimes she doesn't like to ask me to do something, but then there she is as a 2, not wanting to ask for help, right? So here's our two types kind of clashing here. But she said, no, you will actually guard your time, you'll do this. And I said, but that's just prioritizing. I have so much that I need to get done within a certain time. If I know I've got to do this, well, then I'm not going to pile this on. And so, but then I started to think about it later and said, is that just my own way of deflecting what I really am feeling, which is more like what he's saying here? And so what I need to do now is spend a little time with this in reflection, because I know that I do prioritize. I know that, like, for instance, whenever someone wants to do something on a Saturday, that's like really hard for me because Saturdays are just jammed with the prep for Sundays. And I want to husband my time. I don't want to lose it. But I didn't see that as because I'm feeling empty. I saw it as because I'm prioritizing and I'm being responsible, you see. But am I just masking that really I'm feeling like I might just, I have an answer to that question. But I thought it was so fascinating that Marion came right back and said, no, you do that all the time. And that's where we need someone to kind of mirror for us, that it's so valuable. And I was so surprised when she said that, because I did not see that in myself. As she explained it, then I could explain it away. But is that all I'm doing, is explaining it away? So this is the process that we would go through, I think, as we look at this. And we may need some help of someone who's closest enough to us and frank enough with us that they could actually kind of mirror some of this stuff back.
Dave, I can add to this a little bit because I live with a 5 and he's a classic 5. And it's and next to the word emptiness, I would really have written also drained, because I have to be sensitive to, if I ask him to do too many things that require a lot of energy for him, say perhaps a lot of social energy and social graces and whatnot, I have to pick and choose because I know he will get very drained very quickly. So I prioritize and say, we're not going to do those events, but here's the one that's really important to us. We should do this. So charge up your social minutes and see if you can work this one out. And so I'm very close to that, and I can see how it affects him. And so I have to play that game a little bit too. But your situation may be different too, because you have practiced being around people so much that maybe you have kind of adjusted to it a little bit. It's not as scary for you, maybe for compared to some other 5s, perhaps.
And it's not scary at all for me anymore. I mean, I can get on stage and work the room and do all of that, but I know it's going to be draining. I do know that. And I know that, every Sunday morning I feel the resistance. I don't want to go be the Pied Piper for 5 hours. Every Sunday is like that, But then I know when I get there, I'm going to love it. I'm going to see my friends and we're going to have a great time. But I know by 2 in the afternoon, man, I'm going to be sinking down the other side.
Right. You go home and decompress, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to share with, as a 2 has happened to me. I shared this at my Al-Anon meeting today. Judy's smiling at me. I was just blown away that mine was pride. I never thought of myself that way. And we talked about control today, and I finally connected that as a 2, I'm a caretaker. I always put everybody before me. I don't ask for help like Marion. But I also recognize that a lot of that came from pride, that it made me feel better, that it was my pride that, oh, aren't I wonderful? Oh, they like me. Oh, and that a lot of the things I do and a lot of the facades I did through my life, because I was a chameleon, was because of pride, that I wanted everybody to like me, everybody to think I was this person, everybody, fit in every group. And I finally recognized that it was pride and my need to fulfill, that need for feeling better about myself because I'm this caretaker and I wonderful.
Mhm.
And it was such a mind-blowing, so ever since we started this, I've been thinking about it and it finally connected today that it's also for me tied to control. So if I can fix you or help you, I'm also trying to control you
Mm.
and my controlling because then I feel better and I feel prideful. Um, I think that's what I came up with. I don't know if that fits, but that's kind of hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been this living in needing and living in pride, and why I was so controlling and why I have to fix everybody or take care of everybody but not take care of me, that you always came first. So I don't
Mhm.
know. That's how it happened for me today.
Mhm.
Marion, can you relate to that at all, or is that just me?
You've given me something to really think about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had to.
I can resonate with that.
Okay. Yeah, it makes me
Does
feel good,
does
which to
pride
me is
stick in
pride.
your craw a little bit though, honey? In terms of, does that not feel like the right word?
What do you mean?
Well, she said that the idea of pride just didn't seem to fit at all. Yeah, and now she's thinking about it, and maybe it does. Is it the same thing with you that pride doesn't seem like the reason that you wouldn't ask for help or, you know?
It doesn't seem like it, but it's definitely something to think about. Yeah,
What
I've never
about the other
thought of
side
it.
of pride, the like shame part, the other side of it where pride is sort of trying to be somebody that I'm sorry, I'm analyzing you.
It's
I was
okay.
just thinking that, no, I didn't mean that about you. Just I wonder if pride can also be flipped to be insecurity.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
that's my
Yeah,
angle.
like everybody has to like me, because that's the only way I feel good about me. And that's the insecurity, Laurie. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that too.
I agree with that.
Isn't there like a spectrum of pride? Because being proud of your kid who's done something wonderful is a kind of pride, but the other kind where you're arrogant,
Mhm.
Mm.
it's still pride. It's just, and they feel quite different.
Yeah.
So when he says pride is a passion, which one's he talking about?
He's talking
Hmm.
about the one that operates, through the passion that we're seeing in type. Obviously, Jerry and Marion are the two of the least arrogant people that
Yeah.
I think I know.
Right.
So their pride has if it is pride, it has nothing to do with that. And it's not
Yeah.
taking pride in someone else's accomplishments or
Mhm.
as an extension of yourself. It's not that kind of being proud of, which we would see as a healthy thing. That would be a really healthy thing. We're talking about a kind of pride here that basically is saying, I should be better than having to ask for help. I
Mhm.
should have
Um,
this. I should be able to do this, face this, be more resilient.
uh,
All these things where you're actually placing yourself head and shoulders above the way that you would judge anybody else. You're judging
right.
yourself harsher, you know. And is Becky still with us?
Yeah, she's
There
there.
she is. Yeah, because Becky, so many times you've talked about that inner critic, that harsh inner critic.
Mhm.
But what is that really all about? Well, it's saying that, you're holding yourself to a higher standard than others, and that can be a form of pride. Even though,
Mhm.
as Lori says, it's flipped in the way that it presents. So,
Mm. I'm struggling a little bit with the point of avoidance for me being open anger. Not quite sure um it if I'm supposed to be um just articulating I'm angry right now, um or if I can if I don't go to the place where I transform it into pointing the finger at someone else. I'm just not there anymore. I used to be back in the past when I was feeling self-righteous and dualistic. and it's my way or the highway. But I've grown better at realizing, and usually I'm aware of my resentment that's coming up, that's starting to surface,
Mhm.
which I consider to be a form of anger also. Um, and that piece, I'm not sure how to what is the productivity of being able to openly express anger? Like
Well,
me,
that's sort of the point, though, Judy. Open anger is your point of avoidance if you're a one,
right?
what he's saying. So, do you feel that it's appropriate for you to voice your anger, to actually act out your anger on somebody, or do you sublimate it?
No, I mean I speak about my anger in relationship to a trigger that I've had, either, it's I'm angry when I see you doing this, repeatedly to me,
Mhm.
or speaking to me that way. And I do think that that's okay to express.
Mhm.
Um, what not necessarily just to say, I'm owning my own feelings, but I've also got to do a bit of a search also to how I let go of that.
Okay, so not to say that this is going to describe you, but just
Okay.
so that we understand the point he's making,
Yeah.
go back to page 42. Type 1's point of avoidance is the frank and open expression of anger.
Right.
Although angry inside, ones don't like to admit it. It makes them feel that there is something terribly wrong with them. I feel angry is automatically transformed into you are wrong.
Okay.
That way, the internal experience of anger can be hidden and its open expression avoided. So, what he's basically saying is that if anger is the passion, then the point of avoidance is going to be giving yourself over to that, expressing it, lashing out, acting out your anger. And so the one is going to want to sublimate that and work it out in other ways, or try to flip it around and point the blame at someone else for making them angry.
Yeah.
So that's what he's trying to express. Now, I don't know if that resonates with you, but hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I guess I've become aware of when I'm angry, but I don't find it productive to lash out at
Well,
someone else.
no, of course not. But is it something that you absolutely need to avoid? And maybe not now. You've done a lot of work in the last few
Yeah,
years. If you look back, in your life, can you
right.
see a time when this was more descriptive of your
Yeah,
behavior?
yeah.
And is he talking, Dave? I wonder when it says open anger, are we reading into that means, I guess, anger that's not controlled necessarily, like just outrageous kind of anger? I guess we can read into it any way we want, but
Yeah. Road rage.
yeah, like
Yeah.
rage kind of stuff, like losing control kind of anger.
Name calling, I would say
Yeah,
too.
yeah, blaming, that kind of stuff, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah. Openly, kind of, I suppose, hostily expressing your anger um, is his point is that would be a point of avoidance for a one. They're going to want to sublimate that. They're not going to want to admit that they're out of control that way. They're not going to want to admit that they are angry. And so they're
Mhm.
going to turn it around somehow so it's somebody else's fault or that they're going to rationalize it, just
Yeah.
like me saying, hey, my hoarding of my time is my responsibility. That's my prioritizing. I've turned it into a virtue, but is it really? I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
With clients I've worked with who resonated point one, the perfectionist,
Mhm.
they seldomly have like overt expressions of anger.
Mhm.
Right? What they'll have is like that low grade level of frustration
Yeah.
that's almost always there because other people are doing stupid things or being,
Yeah, yeah,
Or disappointing them or whatnot, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah,
or inconveniencing me.
yeah, like all of these expectations, right? That are always there because they're people who go above and beyond and try to do things perfectly. And
Mhm.
when they don't see that in others, it's this low-grade frustration, and seldomly you get to see the anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
also think about this. If they really are perfectionists, how perfect are they if they're acting out their anger? So they're trying to keep the image and the projection not only to others but to themselves that they're above all this.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
So I would imagine on one level you might have somebody like Judy, you've worked on yourself enough to where you can notice your anger and kind of surf the experience and not let your anger control you.
Mhm.
And somebody who is less aware might not notice their anger at all,
Mm. Gotcha.
right? And in some ways kind of function similarly.
Mhm.
Or they'll notice the anger, but they'll flip the script and they'll
Mhm.
say it is that person's fault.
Your fault.
They're the one that are creating this tension that I'm
Mhm.
feeling.
Mhm. Yeah.
And anger is always justified to the person who is angry,
Yeah.
right? Uh, and I think all of these, right? All of the passions are justified, I guess, in some way.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point. Yeah.
I just did that for you. If that's not being prideful, I don't know what is.
So is the concept at least making sense of the
Yeah.
point of avoidance and how it's working through the passion?
Mhm.
The dynamic, uh, I guess, relationship between type, passion, and point of avoidance and how it works. The
Mhm.
passion is driving the type is protecting our unawareness of the passion, and the things that we avoid, we're avoiding because that would shine a light on the passion, basically. And so
Mhm.
we need to avoid those things. We need to flip the script somehow.
Mhm.
So let's read the next paragraph and see if this helps. The points of avoidance have practical importance because they are doorways into the passions.
Mhm.
See, if you can start to see where your point of avoidance is, the thing that you really can't deal with, then you can start to see what's driving it. And here, the next sentence is really important. They are less unconscious than the passions and therefore a little easier to work with.
Mhm.
So the point of avoidance is going to be something that's going to be easier for you to see and become aware of in real time as it's triggering you. They're the lights on your dashboard that are telling you that something's wrong under the hood. So points of avoidance have practical importance because they are doorways into the passions. They are less unconscious than the passions and therefore a little easier to work with. Once engaged, however, a point of avoidance will automatically bring its associated passion into play. That is why the search for one's passion usually starts by consciously choosing to engage one's point of avoidance. Suppose you think you might be a 3. Your point of avoidance is failure. If you want to perceive your passion of vainglory, take note of your failures. Usually, you immediately transform each failure into a partial success. I almost succeeded, and now I know what to do next time in order to really succeed. Instead of doing that, just recognize that you failed and start looking for the feeling or the physical sensation this recognition brings. If you're a 3, you will discover that there is a very strong, expansive energy in you that wants to do whatever is necessary to change this little defeat into a partial victory. You might notice, for example, that just saying no thank you to someone's request to take on a volunteer post can feel like a failure to you. As a 3, your energy is unbalanced toward yang, allowing even a small defeat to resonate within you feels too passive and yin, and so you avoid it. The expansive energy can easily generate a stream of words in your head trying to convince you that you did win somehow, or it might present as an impulse to take a second shot at the task. It wants you to keep up your image of success so you won't have to experience any sense of failure. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So similarly, if you are an 8, your initial task is simply to notice your aversion to feeling vulnerable and the immediate rising of that immense lusty yang energy that wants to make it go away. If you're a 5, your task is simply to notice how the energy to pull away and hold yourself within arises whenever a friend asks you to commit to something. Yeah, I do have that. But introverts have that, right? As a 5, your energy is unbalanced toward yin. Your friend's request requires you to bring up some expansive yang energy, and that feels so uncomfortable that you shrink from it. Finally, if you're one of the types whose energy is unbalanced toward reconciling, engaging your point of avoidance will bring up the twin discomforts of yin and yang simultaneously. Suppose you're a 6 and your boss wants you to do something you know will be harmful to the project you're working on. You know you have to speak with him about it. Half of you is terrified of his potential reprisals, which makes you feel weak and seems too yin. The other half of you wants to berate him for every stupid decision he's ever made, which feels far too yang. Your natural inclination is to waffle between both energies so that you don't have to experience either of them fully. Is that a 6 laughing there?
Oh, I just thought it was fascinating, but no, probably not.
It's
Yeah.
a reconciling laughing.
Ah, there you go. Often the result is that you avoid the conversation with the boss, or if you do have it, you somehow manage to blow it. Your first task in Enneagram work is really not about convincing your boss or learning how to speak to him without falling apart. The first task is simply to allow yourself to feel both sides of your energy and the discomfort of being caught between them.
That's good. That's good.
Hopefully that's giving a better sense of how we first become aware of and then actually maybe confront isn't the right word, but lean into these points of avoidance. You know, for me, I know that the resistance to going out and doing something that's going to put me in a social situation or put me that's been with me all my life. And so I understand that point of avoidance. And I've learned to simply push through it. I know that it will always be there. Every Sunday morning, I'd rather stick needles in my eyes than come to church and do what I do. You know, and that may sound weird to you, you know, but I've learned that if I will push through it and just show up, I'm going to love it when I get there. It's like Chinese food. It never sounds good to me, but once I'm eating it, I love it. But then next time, I'm never going to order it first. It's just, you know, I'd rather go eat Mexican. But I just learned that that's the resistance point. And if I will push through it, I'll be fine on the other side. But I had to actually confront it and realize, I mean, there were so many years, decades that I didn't know what the deal was, you know, why I felt so drained or why I felt, you know, that, you know, these things just never sounded good to me. Anything with crowds and this and that, I just never wanted to do. But now realizing, oh, okay, that's part of this, that point of avoidance. And I never understood that before. And I never called it a point of avoidance either. It was just, hey, I'm an introvert, I need to push through. But I think that's the thing. What is your point of avoidance? Where do you feel that resistance? And is it something that has a pattern to it? Do you see that happening in similar situations as you go through?
Can I share my experience with anger and how
Ellen, do you see yourself as a 1?
No, I'm an 8 and a 5 and a 6.
Well, that's not very helpful.
Well, that's how I am. So 8 is the challenger, protector, big sense of justice. So when I feel the injustice to me, I get angry. I don't go into road rage, but I become very sarcastic. And so this happened, and it brought to mind, this was about 3 years ago when I bought my car. which is used car. And I didn't realize until like a month later when I was looking through the manual that it should have that Toyota mat, it should have this, and it should have that. So I go back to the dealer person. And of course, the guys don't know, oh no, blah, 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 blah. And the manager comes. Yes, I'd like to talk to the manager. And he said, well, you bought it about a month ago. You should have said so in the beginning. I said, well, I didn't know it then. So now the anger is coming.
Mm.
Do what's right. Okay. So and then I go to sarcasm and say, let's say I bought a house, and it wasn't until a month later that I found out that the plumbing is all wacko. I should be able to say, correct this. He says, no, we're not going to do this. I said, you're the manager? So this is my sarcasm, and I feel also that arrogance, right? Like I'm better than you, and I can challenge you. Because sometimes being a woman and being Asian, I have felt it where I don't want to be taken advantage of. So I learn to fight through sarcasm, and I go for the liver. So I told him, you're the manager and you cannot give me this. I'd like to talk to the one above you, the supervisor. Or if you're the manager and you have no power to give me the mats for the car, get me somebody else. And you can see the look in his eyes. Oh, I don't know what it was, shame or whatever. Because this was in front of the other guys, right? So I got my the mats. I felt victorious. It has worked in the past. So it reinforced this anger and sarcasm. And is it arrogance? But I want my justice, and you're not going to get away with it.
But notice, Ellen, that the point of avoidance for an 8 is vulnerability.
Yeah.
And you're just talking about being a woman, and an Asian woman
Yes.
makes you feel vulnerable, and you're not
Yes.
going to deal with that.
Right.
And so you're going to avoid that vulnerability at any cost.
Yeah.
And so you do it with anger, you do it with
Yes.
sarcasm, you do it with your sense of justice and making things right, and kind of steamrolling if you have to, whatever you need to do to avoid
Yeah.
that vulnerability.
Yeah.
So what he's saying here is if you really want to start to transform, you need to obviously lean into the vulnerability. That doesn't mean you don't fight for your car mats because you were owed those, right? But in other ways, allow the vulnerability to become a conscious part of you. And that's going to be starting here.
Yeah, but I see it to as situational. In this case, this car dealer, you're cheating me. But if it was, let's say my daughters, let's say it's my parents, my dad, my siblings, my cousin. Oh, fine. I won't fight for that. That's okay. But you see, to me, it's situational. And I can bring it out if I need to.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what you don't want is that you are so avoidant of any sign of vulnerability that you're not even aware of what it is you're doing to avoid it. That's going to be damaging to relationships and damaging to your transformation. So you want to be aware of it. And if you need to fight, then you fight. But you don't let the tail wag the dog.
So in that case, I was using the tail to wag the dog. I got my car mats.
I didn't say that.
No, I got my car mats and
I'm
I was
saying
so happy.
You need to know what you're doing and when you're doing it and not let it rule you. That's the whole key.
Okay. And I don't hide my anger.
What?
I don't hide my anger. It comes out in different ways depending on the situation. Yeah.
And Ellen, you do sound like an 8.
Yeah.
Because the deep fear of an 8 is to be controlled or harmed by others.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you don't want that to happen.
No.
So, and they do look for justice. That they don't
Very
want that
much.
too.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Like ones look for justice too. They want to make things right.
Right.
8s do as well. Very common characteristic in both.
Yeah.
But I had to observe too who he's with. He was with these buddies, you see. And I guess, I don't know what you call it, but how can he say no? He could, obviously, right? But for me to challenge him and say, you're the manager and you don't have the power to do this. Give me somebody else who can.
Do you get the point that we're making, though? It's not that that was not an appropriate response at that time, you know, but if that is always your response and you can never, ever embrace your vulnerability, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah. No, I understand because there are situations where I will back off. It's not worth the fight. I do not want to have this withering relationship with the person I love.
Yeah.
I will let it go. It's okay.
Okay. Like I said, if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. But you need to be aware enough and honest enough with yourself that if it is, that you want to try to overcome it. Let's finish this off because we're getting to time. In summary, back to page 44. Your first step in Enneagram work is just to notice the discomfort of allowing the unwanted energy to become conscious. That's a mouthful. Your first step in Enneagram work is just to notice the discomfort of allowing the unwanted energy to become conscious. When it's unconscious and the type is working, we are not even aware that it's working. And so it doesn't bother us. It's not uncomfortable. But when we first let it become conscious, it's going to feel uncomfortable. We're going to want to resist it. We're not going to want to admit that that's really us. If you want to experience your passion more fully, try an experiment. When you bump into your point of avoidance, rather than avoid, fight, or give into the energy that it arouses, just relax and do nothing but observe its presence. You are not looking to eradicate it, nor do you want to start acting it out. If you choose either of these last two alternatives, the passion will only grow stronger. The simple act of observing the passion is enough to begin the process of healing. The simple act of observing the passion is enough to begin the process of healing because the one who observes is not being driven by the passion. The one who observes is closer to your true essence. Above all, remember that no matter what your type is, your first attempts to simply allow the underlying passion to arise into consciousness will cause you some discomfort. But they will not make you fall apart, go crazy, lose all your friends, or become a national laughingstock. Now, I want you to think about this idea of observing, because that is the hallmark of contemplative practice, isn't it? When you go into centering prayer, it's not that you're trying to quiet your mind. It's not that you're trying to wish every sensory input into the cornfield. It's that you simply sit and observe. Remember the simile of sitting on the side of a bank of a river, and you're watching all the little debris and things floating down the river, or boats, or whatever happens to be. You just let them go by. You just observe them. As your thoughts rise, you observe them. You let them fall. As sensations rise in your body, whether from outside or inside, you let them rise, you let them fall. You simply observe them, but you don't try to control them. You observe your breathing, but you don't try to control it. You're aware of it. You're aware of everything. You're hyper aware of everything in centering prayer and meditation. You're just observing. It's the same process that he's talking about here. So as we get better in our contemplative practice, whatever it happens to be, we can take that same practice then into our waking moments, and we can use that art of observation and let things rise and fall. Just notice them. Don't try to control them. That's the first step to this awareness that's going to allow us to actually heal and move beyond them. But it's just, as I was reading that paragraph, it's like, that's right out of the Centering Prayer 101 manual, right? That's what it's all about.
That's good.
Any thoughts on any of that?
I love it.
So the next step is we're going to have to befriend our passion. Ooh, ah. First, you have to engage it, just observe it. Try not to fight it. Try not to give into it. Just observe it. And now we're going to befriend it? Really? I got to do that? Are you kidding me?
Dave, I really appreciated your description of having your awareness start in the past and then catching up to the present and then getting to the point where you can predict future reactions. I like that imagery, and it's a good way to explain it to my clients, my patients, I think, when you're doing this kind of work.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad that resonated. It was so interesting as I got aware enough to realize what was happening. It's like, yeah, it starts way back in the past. I can see what a jerk I was, you know, but it takes a long time before I can see I'm being a jerk now. Or this is where I'm going to be a jerk. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
I've often said that I transitioned from, yeah, I used to be this to, yeah, I do that. I do that.
I do that, yep.
See, it's happening for me. You know, this pride thing. All of a sudden, I'll go, oh, there it is. There I'm and it does give me that awareness. And I like what that last paragraph said. I can just observe it, recognize it, and then move on. But yeah, the awareness is happening.
And the
And it is
beautiful thing,
uncomfortable.
the beautiful thing is every time you do that, every moment that you become aware and you observe and you don't act on it the way you normally do, you're taking a brick out of that wall between you and where you really want to be. Literally, what's happening is you're creating new neural pathways and the old ones are atrophying. I mean, that's what's really happening. And that just takes time. That's why as we were talking at the beginning with Bill, you know, you don't think your way through it. Because if you think about it, you're going to use the same neural pathways that you already got. Your thinking is naturally going to follow those same ruts, those same pathways. But when you stop and you act differently, that's when you're actually creating new neural links and reinforcing those, and the old ones are getting starved. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do here. So it's totally urban warfare. House by house and block by block. And there's no other way to do it. Okay. I think we're done. Some of you were so quiet tonight. Hope it was okay for you too, Becky and Danielle, among others. Interesting stuff. Okay. Scott.
Father God, we're grateful to be here tonight, learning the things we're learning and sharing with each other and exploring and growing and getting new skills and talents and just positioning our life for maximum blessings, that we don't miss the blessings that are always around us and we don't see them because of our nature. As we change and we grow, we step into those opportunities and those blessings. So, Lord, you are our blessing. We pray that we just pay attention to you and let you guide and direct our life and inspire us as to what moves to make and when to stand still and when to move forward. So we love you, Lord. Thank you for loving us. It's in your holy and precious name, Lord Jesus, that we pray and we give our thanks and we say our amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you Sunday. That'll be the next point of contact. Good night. Good night.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Bye, Kathy.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
So long. Farewell. Adieu, adieu, adieu. See you, Jordana.
See ya.
Be there.
Hope so.
Okay. All right. Good night, dear.
Bye.